I'm going to start with a 30-second clip here and then move on camera and talk about it.
Hollywood Hamilton is an LA radio personality. He was one of the first to play Tiffany's music.
The whole success is George Tobin. So it's the same thing. George Tobin is doing the exact same thing that the Idol maker, Bob Marcucci, did with those guys, Fabian and Frankie Avalon. George Tobin's doing it with Tiffany.
I said all she had to do was listen to what I told her to do, and I'd make her happen.
All right, let me move on the camera here. Short clip, but there's a lot to break down there. Okay, so let's start with what that disc jockey is saying. Now this, first of all, let me tell you where I got that from. This was a Sunday Today feature in early 1988. And it's about 8.5 minutes long or so. And I just cut out that part because it's relevant to what I want to talk about. Oh, before I start, I'll show you my Tiffany Forever the Best shirt. I don't think I've had this one on camera before. All right, so Hollywood Hamilton, very influential DJ. And what he's claiming there is that Tiffany is manufactured. So he mentions Fabian and Frankie Avalon. And I did some Googling on those two. Putting them together is not exactly fair. Frankie Avalon had some talent. He could sing. He played the trumpet. Fabian had no musical talent whatsoever, by his own admission. But what Bob Marcucci did, okay, the manager of both of those fellows, is he chose them for their good looks. And he thought he could market to a teenage girl audience. And so that was the genesis of how both of those fellows started. Now, Frankie Avalon, if you hear him sing, he can actually sing. Fabian had a couple of big hits. He talked his way through the songs. And he told Bob Marcucci right up front, look, I got no musical talent at all, but he had the good looks. So even though Frankie Avalon was more talented than Fabian, in a sense they were both manufactured because they were chosen for something other than their musical talent. Now let's go to Tiffany. So he's equating Tiffany, what George Tobin was doing with Tiffany, to what Bob Marcucci was doing with Fabian and Frankie Avalon. Completely false. Okay? Fabian and Frankie Avalon were chosen because of their youthful good looks. Tiffany was chosen by George Tobin based entirely on her singing ability. There's, as always with Tiffany, there's multiple stories of exactly what happened when the two of them met, the exact sequence of events. But as near as I can tell, piecing everything together, George Tobin had an extremely successful track record before Tiffany. He had a #1 hit, Sad Eyes with Robert John. I know he had a huge hit with Natalie Cole, a couple of other big hits, and had a very successful collaboration with Smokey Robinson, and was working with Smokey Robinson when Tiffany came into his studio to sing demos for a songwriter. We don't know who this songwriter is. They've never been identified. And they just happened to be using George Tobin's studio. They rented out I guess one of the rooms in George Tobin's studio to record this. And somehow or other, he heard her sing and he was impressed. And one thing led to another. So George Tobin was not looking for a teenage girl to produce and ultimately manage. It just happened. And the reason it happened, the reason he was attracted to her, was because of her singing ability. He said right away he was impressed, and especially impressed by her, what he called instincts for interpretation. And so, in no way was she manufactured. Now, The DJ was wrong in that sense, but he was right in the sense that he said the success was all George Tobin. And I know Tiffany fans don't like to hear this, but it's true. Tiffany's commercial success is all because of George Tobin. Without him, could she have been a commercial success? Possibly. There may have been another path. But it's always a long shot, right? And in her early interviews, she said over and over again, look, I just got lucky, right? She got lucky that someone with an extremely successful track record that knew what he was doing was really impressed with her voice. And so she's not manufactured because she was chosen because of her musical ability and her ability to sing. Well, chosen because of her ability to sing. And so therefore, she's definitely not manufactured. And if you ask AI today, if you do a Google search, was Tiffany manufactured? It comes up yes. That's absolutely not the case. The documentary, the VH1 documentary, which I think Tiffany and her family were behind because there was a lot of footage that they supplied to VH1, starts out by saying she was a confectionery creation, right? A kind of candy-like creation, not real. And it's just not true. Thanks for watching.